What's up, it's Cinema Shogun here, and there was a little hearing today to decide if the lawsuit that the Petitos filed against the Laundries will move forward into a jury trial. And of course, Roberta and Chris were nowhere to be found. They didn't show up to the courtroom. They didn't show up virtually, although the Petitos were there. Now listen, I know, I don't even want to hear it. Well, technically, the Laundries didn't have to show up. Technically, the Laundries didn't have to say anything. Technically, the Laundries didn't do anything wrong. Listen here. I know it's easy to disassociate yourself away from these cases, and I understand the legalities of things, but if this was your child, and the only way to hold someone responsible for their death, someone who was maybe not involved in their death, but involved in the media circus that took place afterwards, who knew the whereabouts of your daughter's body, whose son killed your daughter, who very likely tried to help their son escape the repercussions from killing your daughter. Do you want people in your face saying, well, technically they did nothing wrong? If Gabby was your daughter, do you want someone in your face telling you, well, technically, by law, they did nothing wrong? No, you don't want to hear it. And I don't want to hear it either. I understand the legalities of things, but let's be honest here. We live in America. People get sued for far less every single day in America. So before you pull out your law books and you go, well, let me flip the page right here. The Laundries, they did nothing wrong. Take a look around you. The biggest trial in the entire history of Earth, damn near, just happened with the Johnny Depp trial. A trial about one celebrity who had someone else write a magazine article about another celebrity, didn't even mention their name in the article, yet that blew up to one of the biggest civil lawsuit trials of all time. But here we have a murder case and people who were harboring a murderer who lied and pretended like there was hope about this person being alive when they knew they were dead. And you want to just, technically, no, I don't want to hear that at all. I'm sorry for going off on this rant. I am very passionate about this case, and I just don't want to hear that. Like I said, we see people sued for far less every single day. We get caught up in trials that really, in all honesty, aren't near as important as someone losing their life. But it is what it is. I understand that this may not work out. And as far as the hearing goes, there's really nothing to report on here. Information that we already knew. I will say that it looks like there's a 50-50 chance on it moving forward or it getting thrown out at this point. I feel like the Petito's lawyer made a better argument. Although there wasn't much of an argument to be had, there was a bunch of pointing out other lawsuits and similar things that happened, and saying, hey, if they got a lawsuit and that went to jury trial, then we can too. Basically, it was a bunch of that, a bunch of deflecting from the Laundrie side of thing. And it wasn't Bertolino there either. It was a different lawyer. But we don't got a decision yet. We're going to have to wait 2 weeks, and the judge is going to figure out what he wants to do now. It seemed like towards the end, like the judge was, at least in my opinion, like the judge was leaning towards, okay, maybe weighing in the Petito's favor. Although he was kind of hard to read. I got the sense that he didn't really like the Laundrie's attorney. But once again, this lawyer, not lawyer, but the judge was kind of hard to read here. And I'm not sure if this will be the judge proceeding over this trial going forward. I honestly don't think it will be. But I get a sense that it's up in the air right now. And I guess that's obvious to say because we have to wait 2 weeks before we get a real answer as to what's going to happen here. But I didn't feel like that was just a courtesy. Like, all right, we'll give it 2 weeks. And he already had his mind made up. I do believe that he is going to think about this. And I do understand the arguments. about the Laundries not having, to speak up. I understand that technically by law, the Laundries didn't have to show up to court, and by law, they didn't have to say certain things. And I get it. But you have to understand, it's not like we're arguing for the Laundries to go to jail here. This isn't, the Laundries get found guilty and they go to jail. This is a civil case. And, have you ever watched Small Claims Court? People get sued and have to show up in court for far less. And this whole situation, in my opinion, it's not about the money. It's really about just making the Laundries finally step forward and facing, the music. That's what all this is about. It's not about the money. It's not about this. It's not about that. It's about making the Laundries finally face the music. And I think that will make the Petitos feel better. I know damn sure it will make me feel better. That they will finally have to answer some questions, or at the very least sit there. Sit right there in front of everyone knowing what you did. I understand that it's been a while since the whole Gabby Petito fiasco, but let's not sit here and act like the Laundries were just remarkably great people. No, they were not. And I understand they had the right to be silent, but I feel like the human thing to do would be to speak up in that moment. And if you have the right to remain silent and they're not saying anything, then there was no need for them to release that statement via Bertolino, giving hope that Gabby was still alive and that Gabby would be found. And that statement right there is the main thing that I feel like everyone was really focused on today. Like, the judge got really hung up on that little part, that little aspect. And even afterwards, the Petito's lawyer mentioned that he really thought that was a good thing because the judge was really asking more about that statement. And I believe if anything is going to work against or work for the Petitos and work against the Laundries, it's that one statement. It's that one statement made by Bertolino. And Bertolino, or what I like to call him, Stevie Two Tex Bertolini, he was a very interesting character during this whole Gabby Petito situation. Like, to me, he was, I don't want to say, how can I put it? If you want to break it down to a cast of characters, and I understand this is real life, but trust me, if you really were there for the whole Gabby Petito situation, there was some interesting people around the situation, like Dog the Bounty Hunter, the protesters. Bertolino was one of the most interesting, and I always liked it when he released a statement because his statements would be like so ignorant. They would come across as arrogant, and they would come across like, damn, you're kind of like incriminating your own people here. So he wasn't built out for this job. He was a real estate lawyer, and he wasn't ready for what he got himself into, and you could tell. And it was just, I always had a good time dissecting his statements. And I remember when he released this statement, and it's funny, that if this does go to trial, it's going to be Bertolino who ultimately got it there. Bertolino and his arrogant statements of him trying to sound smarter than what he was, it's going to land the Laundries in court. And I feel like that would be a perfect ending, or a perfect climax to this already just bizarre story, if you will. But let me know your thoughts about all of this down in the comments below. Like I said, I'm iffy here on if this is going to move forward. You know what I mean? I understand technically why it might not. But as far as how I feel, when you really think about it, like, I understand and you really want to break it down, you could show everyone why this might not work out. But when you really think about it, like I said, people get sued for far less every day. So, why not this case? Why not this case? But like I said, let me know your thoughts down below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all on the next video.